Okay, so part B of chapter 4, which is on reproductive system. So for question 1 here, it gives you the figure for female reproductive system. Okay, so if you look at question A, it asks you to identify structure A, B, and C. So alang-alang tu kita label semua lah. Okay, so we are going to label all the structure involved for this question. So for A is basically the cervix. Okay, so the cervix is this here, pintu rahim lah, kan? So it is where, for example, when you are going to give birth, okay, so this is to make sure that the cervix is fully dilated up to 10 centimeter. Okay, so during pregnancy, during labor, kan, the labor stage of giving birth, kan, labor is the process of giving birth. The another term for giving birth is parturition. Okay, so for parturition it has 3 stages. Okay, so for parturition, the first stage is dilation. Okay, dilation of the cervix until it reaches 10 centimeter. Okay, and then after that is the expulsion stage. Okay, where the baby will come out and then passes through the vagina and then out. Okay, from the female reproductive system, the process of giving birth, and then after that is the delivery of the placenta. So those are the 3 stages of parturition that you have to remember. Okay. And then for the cervix, when you are pregnant, so and this here region here dia akan ada secretion of mucus for untuk plug, kan? So this mucus is to dia bertindak sebagai plug to prevent invasion of foreign pathogen from entering into the uterus. Okay, and then when you are about to give birth, okay, yang mucus tu tadi dia akan keluar, dan so dia akan keluar. Itu adalah salah satu petanda awal untuk bersalin lah. Kita panggil dia sebagai spotting. Dia akan keluar warna macam darah, setumpuk darah macam tu, kan. So that is one of the sign of you about to give birth. Okay, apart from air ketuban pecah, kan. Air ketuban pecah tu salah satu petanda untuk bersalin lah. Okay. And then you have the B. So B is the oviduct or the fallopian tube. Okay, and then for C is the vagina, and then for D, kan, so if you look at the label here, it focuses on this area. Okay, so this is the endometrium. So kalau if the arrow were to point in this region, the chamber here, so that is the uterus. Okay. So semua ni sebenarnya uterus. Kalau tengok kepada skema jawapan, kan. So kalau skema jawapan tu linear, awak jawab uterus pun boleh jadi betul. Okay, so either endometrium or uterus. And then for E is the ovary. So as you know, ovary is the gonad for female. So when we referring to the term gonad, it is the organ that is responsible to produce gametes. So in this case is to produce secondary oocyte. Okay, secondary oocyte which is released during ovulation. In this follicle, in this ovary, it contains hundreds, okay, up to 500s, about 500 follicles that contain primary oocyte. So when the baby female, baby perempuan, kan, daripada baby dia dah memang ada fixed number of follicles containing the primary oocyte. Okay, so bila perempuan tu dah balik, kan, so setiap bulan one follicle will mature as the result of the release of 2 hormones, which is follicle stimulating hormone and also LH, kan. So one follicle will mature each month, and ovulation will occur to release secondary oocyte. Okay, so this secondary oocyte, if when it enters into the fallopian tube, If fertilization occurs, okay, then the secondary oocyte will complete the process of meiosis, kan? So secondary oocyte, awak kena ingat, dia stop dekat metaphase 2. Okay, secondary oocyte which is released during ovulation, it stop at metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. So if fertilization occurs, the process of meiosis will be completed. Okay, so that it will become fertilized eggs ataupun we call it as ovum. Alright. So that summarizes the figure 1. Alright. So identify A, B, and C. So we have done for that question. So next question is B. What would happen if B is blocked for some reason? So B is fallopian tube or oviduct. Okay, so if it's were to be blocked, tadi kita dah tengok. Okay, so every month ovulation will occur to release secondary oocyte. So if secondary oocyte is blocked in its passageway here, the oviduct is blocked. So obviously it cannot reach the uterus. So that is the first answer. Okay. So when secondary oocyte cannot reach the uterus, obviously sperm cannot reach the secondary oocyte for fertilization to occur. So this will prevent fertilization from occurring. Okay. So that can be one of your point. Sperm cannot reach the secondary oocyte. 1 point. Okay. Fertilization will not occur. Another point. And then pregnancy cannot occur. Okay, so it prevents pregnancy from occurring. Okay, so that is the consequences of oviduct that is blocked. Okay, so dia nak 2 markah je lah, dia nak 2 point je lah. So those can be the answer. Okay, so secondary oocyte cannot reach the uterus. Sperm cannot reach the secondary oocyte. Fertilization cannot occur, and pregnancy cannot occur. Okay. So ada 4 point kat situ. You just write 2. Okay, to get 2 marks. So for question C, the pH value of C is what? What is C? C is the vagina. Okay, so the vagina has to be maintained in acidic condition, which is 3.8 to 4.5. Give 2 importance of this pH to the reproductive system. Okay, so the vagina has to be maintained in acidic condition. So what is the significance of maintaining this acidic condition? So 2 marks. Okay, so the significance of keeping the vagina acidic is to prevent the growth of pathogen, invasion of infection by pathogen. Okay, so it prevents that area, the vagina, from being infected by the pathogen. Okay, so 1 mark. So second, the acidic condition or the low pH will inhibit growth of bacteria. Okay, second point. And then the acidic condition will also promote, tadi kita cakap dia akan prevent growth of pathogen, growth of bacteria that may cause infection. This acidic condition, okay, is suitable, okay, for the growth or to promote the growth of normal vaginal flora. Okay, flora here is referring to residential bacteria that is supposed to grow there. Okay, so one example of bacteria, the nice bacteria that's supposed to grow there, for example, you have the lactobacilli, okay, bacteria. So ada 3 markah lah kat situ yang saya bagi. Okay, so one is to protect reproductive tract from being infected by pathogen. Second, the low pH will inhibit the growth of bacteria. Second, it promotes the growth of normal vaginal flora or residential bacteria there. Okay, so tadi saya bagi contoh lactobacilli. Okay, so 3 point saya bagi, dia nak 2 je. Okay, so number D, state 2 function of D. So D tadi apa? D is endometrium. Okay, so what is the function of the endometrium? It is the place to receive, okay, or implantation of fertilized eggs. Fertilization, okay, of secondary oocyte by the sperm, it can occur either in the oviduct or in the uterus. Okay, so fertilization can occur in either of these two locations for normal pregnancy lah. Okay, or in the oviduct or in the uterus. So once the secondary oocyte has been fertilized, okay, so it will form the zygote. Okay, zygote. From there, it will divide into 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16, 32 cells until it forms a ball of cell, which we call it as the morula. Tengok balik apa punya proses pregnancy stage tu, kan? So stage ni kita namakan dia sebagai cleavage, kan? So cleavage. So at the end of the cleavage, it produces morula. So morula dia akan daripada situ dia akan form blastocyst. Okay, so blastocyst. So this blastocyst will be implanted in the endometrium. Okay, in the endometrium lining. So that is one of the function of the endometrium, to receive or implantation site for fertilized eggs. Okay, and then once this fertilized eggs has been implanted, the blastocyst is implanted in the endometrium. It is another function of it is to provide nourishment. Okay, kalau tengok, if you refer to your notes, okay, so daripada blastocyst tu, sekejap ya. Dia akan form extension, kan? Mana ni? So again, bila awak belajar, kan, biology ni, so make sure you refer to your diagram, kan, so it is easier for you to understand and to understand the whole process. Okay. Sekejap, saya cari gambar dia. So yang akan implant, yang akan berlaku implantation tu is the blastocyst. Okay, so blastocyst will be implanted in the endometrium lining. So as the blastocyst is implanted into the endometrium lining, dia akan form macam projection. Okay, which is daripada lapisan trophoblast. Lapisan trophoblast tu lapisan luar blastocyst tu. Okay, so please refer to your diagram. So trophoblast akan form extension. Dia cakap kat sini, trophoblast proliferate forming finger-like projection known as chorionic, okay, chorionic villi, okay, that embedded in the endometrium lining. So by this formation, so dia akan form blood vessels. Okay, so this will provide nourishment to the growing embryo later. Okay. Kan, tadi lapisan trophoblast ni dia akan develop into chorion and also amnion. Okay, so chorion ni akan develop into placenta lah. So the function of placenta is to give nourishment to the baby, okay, from the mother to the baby. Alright, so that is the function of D. One is to provide site for implantation of fertilized eggs or blastocysts, and then second is to provide nourishment. Okay, bila dah ada interaction of tissues between the blastocysts, between the embryo and also the maternal tissue. Okay, so the maternal tissue is the endometrium. Okay, so the next question, identify the structure where secondary oocyte develops. So this is so easy lah, kan? So the answer will be oocyte. But if you look at the question, ni saya bagi tips lah untuk jawab exam, kan? When the question uses this keywords, it says identify, kan? Bila awak tengok soalan, okay, soalan nombor 1 ni dia ada banyak. Dia ada banyak anak-anak. Anak dia ada A, B, C, D, kan. So bila banyak pecahan ni, make sure every time you refer to the main diagram here. Okay, lupakan diagram-diagram lain dalam awak punya nota ke, daripada awak punya rujukan yang lain ke, you must refer to this main diagram. Okay, so when the question ask here, identify the structure, your answer boleh jadi betul kalau awak tulis E sahaja. Okay, E. Sebab E is referring or pointing to the ovary. So lagilah betul kalau awak jawab ovary. Okay, tapi bila soalan tu dia guna perkataan macam name. Okay, macam soalan ni kan. Yang ni tak identify. Identify tu maksudnya dia suruh bagi tahulah apa dia. Tapi bila soalan ni, dia cakap name, okay, the structure where secondary oocyte is developed, then your answer has to be this one. Okay, ovary. Kalau awak cakap E, bila dia guna perkataan macam name ke apa, bila awak jawab E macam ni, dia jadi salah lah. Okay. So that is for number 1. So for the next question, okay, this one here is a bit complicated. You have to really understand the whole process of spermatogenesis and also oogenesis. Dalam soalan exam, takkan pernah ada dalam peringkat asas ni lah soalan yang markah dia worth 6 marks. Okay, tapi ini sebagai latihan dalam buku workbook awak lah. Dia boleh jadi macam ni. Soalan tu dia pecah jadi 3 markah kan. 3 markah untuk spermatogenesis and another 3 marks is for oogenesis. Okay. So in this question it says, draw a label diagram to illustrate the differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis. So as you know, spermatogenesis is the process to produce sperm. Okay, so the process will occur inside the testis, specifically inside the seminiferous tubule. Okay, so seminiferous tubule within the testis is the site for spermatogenesis to occur. For oogenesis, okay, it occurs inside the ovary. Okay, so for this one, you have to draw. Kan, so bila masuk draw, kena draw lah. Kan, kalau awak tulis dalam paragraf, walaupun awak punya jawapan tu betul, salah akan jadi. Kan, so please tengok dia punya keyword kat sini. When the question asks you to draw, then you draw. When the question asks you to describe, explain, tapi awak draw sebab awak tak reti nak explainkan dia, walaupun illustration awak tu betul, examiner bolehlah faham, kan, tapi because you not answering the question, then your answer will be wrong. Okay, so make sure you answer according to the question. Okay, so please look at the keyword that is given in the question. So you have to draw. Okay, so for spermatogenesis and also oogenesis, it starts with germ cell. Okay, sel asal dia adalah, we call it as germ cell. We call it as the primordial germ cell in the embryo. So kedua-dua ni start dengan primordial germ cell. Saya draw dekat PowerPoint lah. Senang nak nampak, kat situ sempit sikit. Okay, so on this side you have spermatogenesis. Okay, and on this side, okay, you have the oogenesis. Okay, so both of these processes will start with primordial germ cell that occurs in the embryonic stage lagi. Okay, so it starts with primordial germ cell, okay, in the embryo. This one is also start with primordial germ cell. Okay, both of these cell is in the diploid condition. Okay, diploid, 2N. Diploid kecil sikit. Kecil pula saya draw. Kita break sekejap, azan. bagi saya habiskan draw benda ni. Okay. So if you look at the drawing that I've drawn here, so these are the flow of the process that occurs for both spermatogenesis and also oogenesis. Okay, kalau tengok dekat proses spermatogenesis ni kan, so dia start dengan primordial germ cell. So the primordial germ cell will undergo mitosis. Okay, mana saya punya arrow ni? Okay, will undergo mitosis to produce spermatogonial stem cell. So sebab dia undergo proses mitosis, so it still produces diploid cell. Okay, kalau istilah dia kita panggil sebagai ploidy level. Okay, ploidy level. Bila soalan tu dia macam guna istilah ploidy level kan, so you have to identify apa nama whether the cell is diploid or haploid. So so you have to know the ploidy level or the with either is it in the diploid condition or haploid condition. Okay, so you have the primary spermatocyte. So kalau tengok kat sini kan, so mitosis that is undergone by the spermatogonial stem cell ni, dia akan hasilkan primary spermatocyte and itself. So that's why kalau untuk male, they can continuously produce sperm throughout lifetime daripada puberty sampai ke akhir hayat dia. Sebab apa? Sebab the process of spermatogenesis will keep on occurring due to that the process of cell division for stem cell. Dia akan sentiasa divide, okay, through mitosis. Sentiasa akan berlaku proses mitosis untuk generate new cell that will later produce the sperm cell, okay, at the end of the process spermatogenesis. Okay, tapi kalau untuk kita female, for female, we have a fixed number of follicles within our ovary. So when we have a fixed number of follicle within our ovary, roughly kan, for female ovary, for each one we have about 500 follicles. So bayangkan setiap bulan lepas puberty, satu follicle akan release setiap bulan. So this will reduce the number of follicles that will mature and releases the secondary oocyte. Sebab tu untuk perempuan kita ada tempoh untuk kita boleh beranak sebelum menopause berlaku. Macam tu. Okay. Sebab for female we have a fixed number of follicles that produce since the embryonic stage lagi. So kalau for Ogenesis, kalau tengok kat sini kan, Ogenesis proses ni kan daripada primordial germ cell that undergo mitosis, that produces oogonium. Sebab dia mitosis kan, so still dalam keadaan diploid. So oogonium undergo mitosis, produce primary oocyte. So primary oocyte ni ada dalam follicles dalam ovary. Okay, so we have a fixed number of follicles. So this stage it occurs during embryonic stage. So bila perempuan tu dah dilahirkan, dia memang dah ada fixed number of follicles. And bila dah reach maturity, dah reach puberty, each follicle will undergo or complete. Kalau kat sini kan, dia stop dekat prophase 1 kan. So bila ovulation berlaku, primary oocyte in the follicle will complete the process of meiosis 1 kan, until it produces this cell. We call it as secondary oocyte. Okay, secondary oocyte. So this secondary oocyte is in the diploid condition. Sorry, haploid condition. Sebab ini dah start proses meiosis. Okay, dia dah start proses meiosis. So, sebab ini melibatkan proses meiosis, obviously dia akan menghasilkan, it produces two haploid cells. So, one is the secondary oocyte, the other one is the first polar body. Okay, first polar body. Okay. So this one, dia start masa dah start puberty lah kan. So proses ni start masa puberty. Okay. So secondary oocyte ni dia akan stop at metaphase 2. Okay, metaphase 2. So every month when ovulation occurs, okay, releases secondary oocyte into the oviduct. If fertilization occurs, it means that if sperm enters into the secondary oocyte, then only, this is the secondary oocyte which is penetrated by sperm head here, then only the process of meiosis will be completed. Okay, so meiosis 2 will be completed. Okay, if fertilization occurs. Okay, so daripada sini, dekat sini adalah dia melibatkan ovulation and also fertilization. Okay, so these will complete meiosis 2 that stop at metaphase 2 for during the formation of secondary oocyte. So bila the complete process meiosis 2, then at this stage we can call it as fertilized eggs or ovum. Okay, fertilized egg ataupun ovum. Okay, fertilized eggs ataupun ovum lah. Okay, so this one, sebab dia proses meiosis kan, so it produces another cell, we call it as the second polar body. Okay, yang first polar body, sebab proses oogenesis ni, dia akan menghasilkan 3 polar bodies kan. So kat sini, kan akan hasilkan polar body. Okay, another 2 polar bodies. So ada 3 lah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yang 2 ni berasal daripada first polar body. Okay. So that is the difference between oogenesis and spermatogenesis. Okay, so spermatogenesis daripada puberty throughout lifetime. Tapi kalau oogenesis daripada embryo sampai ke baby tu kan. So dia dah start ada primary oocyte. Tapi kalau male, primary oocyte ni untuk dia menghasilkan secondary oocyte, okay, lepas puberty and lifetime. Tapi ini every month, okay, during ovulation. Okay, for oogenesis. So for each oogenesis and spermatogenesis, you have to know the what happened at each stage ni kan, and the ploidy level of each cell at each stage. Okay, so that one you have to know lah, and then proses lah mitosis ke ataupun meiosis. Ingat daripada primary oocyte ni is diploid. Same goes to primary spermatocyte is diploid. Same goes to primary oocyte is also diploid. Tapi bila kita dah masuk kepada secondary oocyte ke ataupun secondary spermatocyte, dia dalam keadaan haploid sebab dia dah start proses meiosis. Okay, dia dah start proses meiosis. Ini meiosis 1 lah. Kan, sekut kat sini meiosis 2. Okay. So that is oogenesis and spermatogenesis. So moving on to the next question. Okay. This is another question of which you have to understand the diagram. Okay, so figure 2 shows the menstrual cycle and the main hormonal profiles of follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, and also progesterone. Okay, so for female, we have 4 major hormones that involve in the regulation of female reproductive system. Okay, so these 2 hormone, follicle stimulating hormone and LH, okay, these 2, okay, these are the hormone which is produced and secreted by the anterior pituitary. Okay, so anterior pituitary will secrete follicle stimulating hormone and LH. And so what is the function of these two hormone? Daripada nama dia boleh dah tahu dah apa fungsi dia. Follicle stimulating hormone. The function for follicle stimulating hormone is to stimulate, okay? Stimulate the growth and development of follicle. Tadi saya dah cakap kan, untuk female kita ada fixed number of follicle inside of our ovary, but the follicle is really tiny that contains primary oocyte. So each month, each follicle will grow and matures. Same goes to the primary oocyte inside that follicle. Dia juga akan complete proses meiosis 1 tu tadi. Dia stop kat prophase 1 kan. So dia akan complete proses meiosis 1 and start meiosis 2 which stop at metaphase 2 bila dia dah hasilkan secondary oocyte. Okay. So kalau tengok kat sini graf untuk FSH kan yang clear line ni. So tengok graf dia kat sini. Dia kalau yang ini sebenarnya kalau untuk female kita ada 2 cycle. Okay, the first cycle it involves the ovary. Itu kita namakan dia sebagai Ovarian Cycle. Okay. Another cycle is menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle dia melibatkan what happened inside the uterus. Okay. So menstrual cycle dipengaruhi oleh hormone secreted by the ovary. Ovary dipengaruhi oleh hormon yang secreted by the anterior pituitary. So dia saling related. So kalau tengok kat nota awak refer kepada diagram yang ada 4 graf tu. 4 kotak yang 4 besar tu kan. Dalam proses dalam nota tu. Dia tunjukkan relation antara ovarian cycle and menstrual cycle. So if you look at that diagram or if you look referring to this diagram, okay. So this one is actually referring to ovarian cycle. Okay. So ovarian cycle. Sekejap ya. Okay. So ovarian cycle it only has 2 phases. Macam gambar ni lah, follicular phase and luteal phase. And in between this phase, at day 14, you have ovulation occurs. So this is the rough date of where ovulation occurs. So ovulation, you have to remember where the mature follicle ruptures and release secondary oocyte. So follicular phase occurs at day 1 sampai day 14. So ini adalah tempoh yang mana follicle tu mature, start growing and the primary oocyte start to form or turn into secondary oocyte. So untuk menyebabkan follicle to grow, as you can see, the secretion of FSH will start to be producing. Okay. So same goes to the hormone luteinizing hormone. So luteinizing hormone fungsi dia adalah untuk aid FSH. Dia akan membantu fungsi FSH tu. It is to aid the hormone FSH. Okay, so as the follicle grows, and before ovulation occurs, as you can see, there is a surge or secretion of LH akan peak. Okay, so the peak of LH secretion will have to occur before day 14. Ingat the surge of LH will have to occur just before ovulation. Why? Because LH will cause the mature follicle to rupture. Okay, the mature follicle to rupture and release secondary oocyte. Okay. So kalau tengok kat sini, bila follicle tu daripada kecil, kan, dia akan grow and grow and grow, kan, sampai dia release secondary oocyte kat sini, dia akan release secondary oocyte. Tengok follicular tissue dia akan obviously bertambah lah, kan. Follicular tissue ni, kan, the cell of the follicular tissue ni, the function of it is to release these two hormone. Okay, especially estrogen. Okay, estrogen secretion will start to increase as the follicle grows. Tengok estrogen yang dash yang tebal-tebal ni kan. So estrogen will start to increase. Secretion of estrogen will start to increase. So sebab apa? Follicle starts to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. So kalau kita tengok balik kat dekat yang ovulation ni kan. So bila ovulation berlaku, kan, the ruptured follicle will turn into corpus luteum. Okay, corpus luteum. So corpus luteum, as you can see, the function of the corpus luteum is to produce large amount of progesterone. Dia juga menghasilkan estrogen, tapi paling banyak adalah progesterone. Kalau tengok kat graf ni, nampak mula-mula progesterone ni macam sikit je. Tapi bila dah terhasilnya ni corpus luteum, secretion of the progesterone starts to increase. Okay, so and this corpus luteum has to be maintained, kan? Structure dia has to be maintained from the secretion of the hormone FSH dengan LH. Okay, so maksudnya pada masa ni FSH dengan LH still akan terhasil, tapi bila awak ada combination of both progesterone and estrogen, dia punya secretion dia high, dia akan exert negative feedback. Negative feedback kepada siapa? Dia akan exert negative feedback kepada hypothalamus and also anterior pituitary gland. Okay, so when it exert negative feedback to the hypothalamus and also anterior pituitary gland, so it reduces, okay, the secretion of FSH and LH. Okay, so when you have a very low amount of FSH dengan LH, kan, so corpus luteum ni dah tak boleh nak di-maintain lah structure dia, tak ada hormon untuk maintain structure dia. So what happened to the corpus luteum is that dia akan degenerate, okay, dia akan musnah. So when the corpus luteum degenerate, as you can see here, okay, elok-elok estrogen dengan progesterone peak, dia akan drop balik semula. Faham? Sebab apa? Due to the negative feedback caused by the high secretion of estrogen and progesterone itself, that cause secretion of FSH dengan LH to be lowered. Okay? So kat sini kalau tak berlaku implantation of embryo, kan, blastocyst, so dia akan jadi menstruation lah, period, darah period. Okay, darah period, menstruation. So kenapa kena ada high secretion of mula high secretion of estrogen? Why? Kan, sebab estrogen dan progesterone, kena ingat dia dihasilkan oleh ovari. Okay, specifically the follicular tissue of the growing follicle. Okay, so at the first stage, estrogen secretion is high. Sebab apa? This is to stimulate. Okay, fungsi dia adalah untuk stimulate, okay, the endometrium lining to be thickened. Dia akan stimulate endometrium lining to be thickened to prepare if pregnancy going to occur or not. Okay, so kalau macam progesterone, kan, progesterone terhasil dengan banyaknya is to maintain. Okay, maintain. Dia dah tebal, kan, endometrium lining dah tebal daripada effect daripada estrogen. Bila dah tebal tu, it has to be maintained. The thickness of the endometrium lining has to be maintained, okay, by the hormone progesterone, which is secreted in high amount by the corpus luteum. Okay, so itu je lah. So semua yang saya cerita tu tadi, awak kena olah balik lah supaya markah awak jadi 4 markah. Okay, justru explain briefly lah. Tu briefly je lah apa yang saya explain kat situ. Taklah brief sangat, tapi basically itulah yang awak kena explain. Okay, fungsi FSH, fungsi LH, fungsi estrogen and also fungsi progesterone. Macam mana dia saling interact in the menstrual cycle. Okay. Okay, so next question 3. Complete the table below. Okay, so ini adalah stages apa? Stage okay, stages of embryonic development. Okay, development. Okay, stages of embryonic development. Dia berbeza dengan strategies of embryonic development. Strategies adalah contohnya ovoviviparity, ovoviviparity, oviparity, and viviparity. Bertelur ke, bertelur dalam badan, lepas tu hatch dalam badan ke, keluar like a normal birth ataupun normal birth, viviparity. Itu adalah strategis macam mana organism adapt untuk grow dia punya baby. Telur ke, telur dalam badan ke ataupun dalam uterus. Itu strategis. Tapi yang ini untuk soalan ni adalah stages of embryonic development. Nampak stage ni, perkataan stage ni. Okay. So first stage kita ada mula kita ada fertilization, and then after fertilization is cleavage. In the process of cleavage akan terhasil morula. Okay. So daripada morula jadi blastocyst. Kan? So blastocyst dia akan form 3 germ layers. Okay, daripada blastocyst dia akan divide into 3 germ layers, which is the ectoderm, mesoderm and also endoderm. Itu those are the stages. Lepas gastrulation kan, gastrula tu benda dia lah kan, yang the blastocyst that form the 3 layers tu is the gastrula. Okay, proses dia adalah gastrulation. Proses untuk menghasilkan gastrula tu adalah gastrulation. Okay. So kalau awak tengok dekat sekejap ya. Okay. So cleavage ni dia akan berlaku pada start 30 jam, 30 hours to hari yang ketiga, third day. Okay, after fertilization lah. Okay, so for cleavage, what event that occurs during this stage is the process of mitosis. Sel tu divide kan daripada daripada 1 sel jadi 2 sel, jadi 4 sel, 8 sel, 16 sel, 32 sel, morula kan. So dia melibatkan proses mitosis. Okay, mitosis to increase cell number. Cell number. Divide jadi sampai morula ni. Okay. So morula ni is formed during the 3rd day until the 4th day after fertilization. Okay. So what is morula? The formation of solid ball of cell. Okay, solid ball of cells. Okay. Perkataan morula ni dia daripada perkataan a bunch of berries kan. Berries kan nampak dia macam bulat-bulat macam tu kan. Tu morula lah. Okay, morula macam tu. Okay. A solid ball of cell daripada proses yang before ni, mitosis, cleavage. Okay. So after that, after morula kan, sel-sel ni akan start to secretion. Okay, secretion until it forms a ball that has cavity inside it. So that one we call it as the blastocyst. Okay, so blastocyst will form at the 5th day to the 2nd week. Okay, 5th day to the 2nd week. So what is morula? It is a ball structure with cavity inside it. We call it as the hollow. Sekejap. Okay, hollow ball that form trophoblast. Trophoblast tu lapisan luar dia. Trophoblast lapisan luar yang akan form apa? Chorion, amnion. Okay, so chorion tu akan menghasilkan nanti placenta. So maksudnya kalau macam soalan tu dia tanya dari mana asal datangnya placenta ni, daripada lapisan luar ni, trophoblast ni. Okay. And then you have inside it, you have the inner cell mass, okay? And also at this stage, implantation will occur. Okay, implantation will occur. So after it forms this blastocyst kan, baru sel ni akan start to form 3 germ layers. So itu adalah gastrulation. Okay, structure yang terhasil tu adalah gastrula. So dia akan form at end of 2nd week. Okay, end of 2nd week. So dia akan form the primary germ layers of tissue. Okay, primary germ layers of tissue. Ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Okay, so the ectoderm will form the nervous system and your epidermis of the skin. And then for the mesoderm, it forms most of your organs. And then the endoderm, it forms the lining of your organ system. Macam tu. Okay. So sebab tu pada awal pregnancy, you really have to take care of your pregnancy sebab structure yang mula-mula terhasil adalah nervous system, the notochord tu. Okay, notochord. So you really have to take care. You cannot, memang kita tak ambil alkohol lah kan, sebab alkohol is prohibited, tak boleh. Itu salah satu hikmah dia. Sebab apa? Bila awak ambil alkohol during pregnancy, dia akan mengganggu formation of nervous system for the baby. Kan? Sebab tu tak boleh nak orang yang smoking, tak boleh nak dekat dengan orang yang mengandung especially. So please, do not be selfish. Siapa yang saya tahu ada yang boys that smoke kan. So bila awak dah kahwin nanti, awak merokok lah sejauh-jauhnya daripada awak punya wife, daripada awak punya baby. So don't be selfish kat situ. Okay. And then alcohol lah. Alcohol, smoking. So you have to really jaga awal-awal pregnancy ni. Sebab apa? Structure yang akan start mula-mula form adalah the nervous system, the notochord. Okay, from the ectoderm layer. Okay, so next, explain the role of placenta in the development of embryo. Ini soalan ni pada SPM lagi awak encounter kan. So placenta, one is to 3 markah. Okay, so one is to provide nutrients, okay, oxygen, and also to provide us immune protection for the fetus. Immune protection ni bukan secara directly. Maksudnya kat sini immune protection ni, antibodies from the mother's blood, okay, will enter through the placenta into to the baby, to protect the baby. It not the placenta producing the antibody. Faham So the placenta does not produce the antibody, tapi dia sediakan laluan aliran darah untuk antibody daripada mak masuk ke dalam aliran darah anak tu. Okay, dalam uterus tu. Okay. So provide nutrients, oxygen and immune protection for the fetus. Second, tadi provide nutrients, benda-benda yang berharga kan. So sekarang is another function of placenta is to remove carbon dioxide. Okay, so the baby also produce carbon dioxide. It also produce wastes. Okay, so that is another function of placenta, to remove carbon dioxide, to remove waste that the mother will excrete later. Okay, so the third point is to secrete estrogen and progesterone to maintain pregnancy. Tadi kita tengok masa awal-awal sebelum berlakunya fertilization, sebelum berlakunya implantation kan, you have a high secretion of estrogen and progesterone secreted by the corpus luteum. And corpus luteum still will produce these two hormone during early pregnancy. Tapi bila dah lama-lama tu, sebab when you have a high secretion of estrogen and progesterone, tadi kita tengok apa, negative feedback kan kepada hypothalamus. FSH dengan LH production will be reduced. So the corpus luteum will be degraded. So apa structure yang akan mengambil alih tugas menghasilkan estrogen and progesterone to maintain the endometrium lining? It is done by the placenta. Okay, so placenta will take over the secretion of estrogen and progesterone once the corpus luteum is destroyed. Okay, due to the negative feedback exerted by the hypothalamus. So kenapa, apa signifikannya? Itulah sebab kalau masa awak pregnant, awak takkan datang period. Faham tak? Bila awak pregnant, awak takkan datang period sebab apa? Negative feedback kepada hypothalamus tu tadi. High secretion of estrogen and progesterone will exert negative feedback to the hypothalamus, to the anterior pituitary gland, so that you have low secretion of or it stops the production of FSH dengan LH. FSH ni tadi untuk stimulate the growth of follicle kan. So bila follicle grow akan berlaku ovulation semua tu. So that's why when you are pregnant, follicle tu akan tersave. Faham? Follicle awak tu akan tersave, tak akan berlaku ovulation dah, tak akan berlaku menstruation sebab negative feedback tu. Okay? Due to the high secretion of estrogen and progesterone, this time by the placenta. Okay? Okay, so 3 markah lah. So that is the role of placenta. So question C, which stage of parturition ends with the delivery of baby. Parturition is another term for labor. Okay, for labor. Labor is what? Giving birth lah. Giving birth to baby. So parturition, ingat parturition is another term for labor. Okay. Another term, dia dah remove daripada nama, daripada awak punya nota. Gestation. Macam itulah gestation. Gestation is pregnancy. Duration of pregnancy. For human, our pregnancy duration is 38 week or 40 weeks. 40 weeks ni kalau kita start dia kira daripada ovulation. Okay. 40 weeks ni daripada first day. Okay, first day of menstruation. Okay, 40 weeks ni kalau awak kira daripada first day of menstruation. Tapi 38 weeks ni kalau awak kira start daripada ovulation. So sebab tu kalau orang yang pregnant, bila dia pergi check kat doktor, doktor akan tanya, bila last period awak? Kan? Sebab apa? Sebab dia nak kira awak punya EDD. EDD tu apa? Estimated due date. Bila awak dijangkakan untuk bersalin. Macam tu. So that's why it is really important when you get married, you always jot down the last date of your period. Tiba-tiba termengandung, bila doktor tanya bila last period, awak tak tahu. Macam tu kan. So susah, susahlah doktor nak ataupun nurse nak estimate. Boleh estimate. So cara dia estimate dengan cara macam mana, dia scan lah. Kan, dia scan. So daripada scan tu dia boleh kira berapa dah growth baby tu. Daripada pengiraan tu dia boleh dah estimate EDD awak. Okay, cuma tak berapa nak tepat lah, sebab setiap kali awak scan, setiap kali tu growth tu tak sama. Okay, growth of the baby ada yang cepat, ada yang lambat, macam tu. Kalau awak makan banyak gula, for example, so the baby will grow rapidly, macam tu. So that's why when you are pregnant, you have to reduce your intake of sugar. Okay. So sebab lagi satu tak nak ada diabetes lah during pregnancy kan. So diabetes during pregnancy akan menyebabkan banyak complication. Okay, salah satu baby besar. So you don't want baby tu besar, nanti susah lah nak beranak kan. Kepala baby tu jadi besar. Bukan kepala baby tu besar, susah nak keluar. Okay. Okay, so which stage of parturition ends with the delivery of the baby? It is the second stage. Okay, which is expulsion. Okay, expulsion. Tadi saya dah cakap pregnancy ada 3 stage. Satu, dilation of the cervix until 10 cm. Lepas 10 cm baru pergi ke expulsion. And then baru bila baby dah keluar baru pergi kepada delivery of the placenta. So stage yang paling lama adalah dilation stage actually. Okay, dia boleh take hours and hours. Okay. Even to seharian boleh contraction for dilation tu. Okay, that last question. State one activity of a mother that can disrupt fetal development and explain how this activity might affect the development of her fetus. Macam tadilah kan, cannot take alcohol. Okay, alcohol. Sebab apa? Dia akan menyebabkan gangguan pada pembesaran dia punya nervous system especially. Kalau tak silap saya, dia istilah dia fetal alcohol syndrome. Macam itulah kan. So dia akan menyebabkan gangguan pada formation of the nervous system. Okay, so it says here, if a mother uses drugs or alcohol, so these materials can diffuse through the placenta into the baby or into the fetus, thus preventing the normal physical and mental development. Formation of the nervous system. Okay, or cause premature birth or low birth weight. Okay, so please avoid all these substances during pregnancy. Bukan pregnancy je, throughout your lifetime lah. So avoid. Okay. So that's the end of our discussion. So do you have any question?